So when you think of recycling, that is ingenious, and at the same time, it's helping us learn, grow, be better people, and incredible. How many years have you been an artist, professional artist?
Well, I trained at a university because in South Africa there wasn't an apprenticeship system. If there was an apprenticeship system, I probably would have apprenticed myself to a sculptor. Because as a young person, I came from a working class family, so my father didn't even have a dream for me to be an artist. In fact, when I told him that I was going to be an artist, there was like a war. This is not a thing that a man does. Man doesn't do art. Man does man stuff, you know what I mean? It's a working class thing, like my boy. I'm not supporting this. Anyway, so I went to university and I was out of university by the age of 22 or something like that. From then on, that was it. Till now, so it's about 35 years of practice.
Wow, phenomenal.
Just hanging in.
For those who see this great public art and they'd like to have it in their homes or smaller works, do you do smaller works that are...
I do. I do. I do a lot of two-dimensional work, drawings, lithography, and I also do limited edition bronzes and small works like that. I do that. They're part of the investigative process usually. So I'm working on a massive series of breathing heads at the moment, big monumental heads. So the head lies on its back this way, but it's about this height. So it's constructed. And there's 7 of them in the gallery, and they all breathe in a different way. And each head has a calf, just a little calf. It's its guardian. It lies around it. So this is a massive big installation, which just draws attention to breath and breathing. You walk into the gallery, you just hear this rhythmic breathing, just about air and breathing. Very interesting thing about breath. It's going to be in short supply one day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, once the elephant goes, you talk about the resources and how things are all affected. And of course, we're dealing with great tragedies in America now with the Gulf Coast. So there's a lot of attention that is being brought to environmental issues. So
this is for us. I'm telling you now, this is the canvas for us. And really, this is the challenge, the big ask for all of us contemplative human beings. We have to clean up our act in every single way. We cannot keep living like this. We have to stop. We have to rethink. And in saying that, we have to develop new innovative mechanisms, because we can't stop life itself. We can't stop today. We can't stop progress. But we can begin to insist that we progress in a different way, that is more sensitive, because we can't just keep taking out of the earth anymore. We all come from an ancestry that used to live in the earth, with the earth. Their practice, their cultural practice, their physical practice was in the earth. And then we had a revolution which was called, the sort of empirical revolution that completely dissed that knowledge system. It says it was completely unacceptable, that knowledge system. It was primitive, it was primal. And reason, the age of reason, was our great new advancement. Well, this is where we're at now with advancement. There have been amazing things that have happened, but the cost has been too high. And the cost right now may just have been too great. They're talking about a tipping point. The earth is on a tipping point. The call is now. Now is the time.
wow. Well, I'm just come in. If you could just tell us a little bit about how much time it took, how much rubber is this?
Well,
how many people?
Look, we probably talked about something in the region of about 1,000 to 1,300 motor car tires. Because what we do is we take the motor car tire, we put it on the machine, and what it does, it cuts from the wall of the motor car tire. It spins around and it cuts a ribbon. So this is the ribbon. It gets cut into various thicknesses. And the wall of the tire the foot of the tire is thrown away because we can't actually use that. But the walls are used. This is the wall of the tire. So that gets cut onto the machine, and they use it in the factory. And what they don't use and they offcut, I use in my elephants. So they create products, and then obviously they cut them and they're offcuts, and then I use the offcuts in the elephant. So basically that's so I would say about anything from 1,000 to 1,300 tires. We started to count them, but the work just gets so hectic you start to lose. But I reckon it's in the region of that. The time factor is about 4 months. It takes 4 months. Now let me just explain. What I do is I weld this internal structure myself, and I work usually with 2 assistants in the welding stage. So each piece of metal is hand bent like this. So it's a 6mm round bar, which I then bend, and then I weld it up into a volumetric structure. In terms of just the ergonomics strength, the volumetric structure is massively strong once it knits together as a matrix. Then I had to develop my own internal support mechanism to carry the load. And it is interesting because I spoke to some people earlier this afternoon about when I went to the engineers and I said to them, listen, I need some help here. I've got a load distribution here of about 1.5 ton, and I need to know how I need to structure the internal load bearing units. They said, listen, we can't help you. I went to 4 engineers, they can't help me because there's no other precedent. Engineers work from precedents. They say on this past structure, based on that, we can develop hypothetically what you need to do. Since there was no elephants built before, which they had to develop a precedent, they couldn't imagine how to do it.
But what about the fact that elephants do exist and they have the same structure? Why couldn't they use the science of the elephant?
I don't know. Let me be fair. Perhaps I went to 4 engineers that weren't up on their game. It's possible. Let's say that. But anyway, so I work with 2 assistants in the welding stage, and then the 2 assistants plus 4 more. And what I do is I work at an institution, I teach, and I use my studio as a place for my students to graduate into. Come and work with me in practice, and then they've got a limited 3-4 years in there, and then they kick out on their own. So they come and get the real hands-on practice in the studio, working. So the guys are working with me, and that's how it works.
I love the feel of it. It's weaving. It almost feels like complexity of one's skin, or it has that same interesting feel. Well, all I can say is welcome to Chicago.
Cool.
Welcome to Bronzeville. Thank you for sharing, touching Chicago with your creativity.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Come and see you guys.
I look forward to coming to South Africa.
Yeah, no, cool. Yeah, that's a place for you to go.
I can see it.
It's pretty intense.
Great public art in Bronzeville. Until next time, thanks for joining us.